Call to order, please.
Judge Deskins,
Here.
Magistrate Anderson, Magistrate Johnson, Magistrate Murphy.
Here.
Magistrate Robinson, Magistrate Dotson,
Yes.
Magistrate Varney.
Yes.
All right, Leo, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Justice for all. All right. Approval of minutes of May the 16th, 2017, and May the 18th, 2017.
Motion.
Roll call, please.
Magistrate Anderson.
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson. Magistrate Murphy. Magistrate Robinson. Magistrate Dotson.
Yes.
Magistrate Varney.
Yes.
Judge Deskins.
Yes. All right, for approval of discussion, presentation of the Department of Fish and Wildlife, Gabe Jenkins, and elk coordinator, there he is.
Yeah, this is half of us. My name's Will Boland. I'm one of the program biologists in the Deer and Elk program, and this is Gabe Jenkins here. He'll also be speaking to you here in just a moment. What we're here to do today is we'll just take a few minutes of your time. First of all, we really appreciate you all allowing us to come out and speak with you. I know you're very busy, and we'll just take a few moments. But what we're here to do today is just give you a brief kind of an update about elk here in Pike County specifically. We'll also be happy to answer any questions about the elk herd in general, but we want to talk about Pike County in particular today. And then Gabe will also be speaking in a few minutes about a couple new programs we have whereby folks here living in Pike County and surrounding counties can get an elk permit for themselves. But Gabe will cover that in just a minute. So first of all, I would like to say we've had elk here on the ground in Kentucky for 20 years now. I mean, if you think back 25 years ago, these animals weren't here. Today, Kentucky has the largest elk herd anywhere east of the Rocky Mountains. It's been a pretty incredible success story. I've been working with them myself here in Kentucky for 13 years, and I've done a lot of work with them. But something happened a few years ago that really kind of changed how I looked at elk in Kentucky. No, I've known all along that it's a great wildlife resource. I've known all along that it's a really good source of recreation for folks going out and hunting, of course, but also for folks who just want to go out and look at the elk, view the elk, and just see them, listen to the bulls bugle in the fall. That's all great. But a few years ago, we embarked on something that we ended up finding some information that didn't have any idea. It really surprised me. We were doing a survey of our hunters. So folks who have been drawn for an elk permit to hunt here in Kentucky, and we were doing that to try to just improve their experience. So we are the Department of Fish and Wildlife. Hunters are a big part of our constituency. And we were really just trying to talk to those folks who are elk hunting in Kentucky and to see what we as an agency could do to kind of make their experience better. As part of that, we did a little, just few questions about the economic impact of elk here in the state. And folks, it completely revolutionized how I look at our elk herd here in East Kentucky. I didn't have any idea myself. And I mean, again, I've been working with these things now for 13 years, born and raised here in Southeast Kentucky, and I didn't have any idea the true impact, the economic impact that this herd was having just through hunting. Not even talking about the non-consumptive part of it, just talking about elk hunting. What we found through that survey was that each elk hunter that came and hunts here in Kentucky is spending around $2,200 inside the elk zone throughout hunting and scouting. We know that most of our hunters come out, they don't just come out and go hunting for one day. Most of them come out and they go scouting, and they'll do that for a few days, and then they'll come back and they'll hunt. But folks, that $2,200, that isn't money that's coming to Fish and Wildlife. We weren't asking about tag prices, about license prices, none of that. That $2,200 is money that's been spent inside the elk zone. Again, we broke it out depending on the state at large and the elk zone in particular. That $2,200 is being spent inside the elk zone on things like gas, hotel stays, processor fees when they harvest an animal and take it in to get the meat packaged up, guides. All these things is money that's being spent right here at home, money that's staying right here inside the local community. And that $2,200 per hunter seems like a lot on one hand, but when we know that money, that $2,200 isn't just $2,200. We know it for Kentucky, there's a pretty substantial economic impact beyond the direct expenditure. There's you all are very familiar, I'm sure, with the economic multipliers. There's one that's been developed for Kentucky for big game hunting. When we look at that, we see that the average Kentucky elk hunter contributes about a little bit better than $4,500 inside the local economy when they're coming here to elk hunt. Now, that's pretty exciting when we look at the entire elk zone as a whole. Now, for Pike County in particular, we know that you all, last year, you had around, best we can figure, you had around 42 folks who were hunting. Typically in the last 3 years, there have been 30 to 35 elk per year harvested in Pike County. Of course, we know that not all the hunters who hunt harvest an animal. There are some folks that go out and aren't successful. So we know that it was around last year would have been probably about 42 people that were hunting here in Pike County. Now, if we're just looking at Pike County, that's direct expenditures of $95,000 just from folks who were elk hunting here in Pike County. Run that through the economic multiplier and it turns into $192,000 every year. Folks, this is pretty exciting, but what's really cool to me is that when we look out beyond just Pike County, when we think about this, about the surrounding counties, now we know that Pike County isn't existing out here by itself inside a bubble. We know that Pike County, being as one of the bigger towns, Pikeville being one of the bigger towns in the region, we know that a lot of folks who are coming into surrounding counties are also spending a lot of that money here in Pikeville. They might be staying in a hotel here in Pikeville. They might be using an elk hunting guide that lives in the city of Pikeville. All these things. When we look at the surrounding counties, though, if we just look at Pike County and the counties that border it, we know that last year alone, 2016, for the number of hunters that were here just elk hunting, about $760,000 of direct expenditures right here. If we run that through the economic multiplier, it's about $1.5 million. And that's just from 1 year. That's the impacts of the elk hunt for 1 year of the folks who are right here in Pike and surrounding counties. So that's pretty exciting to us. Again, for myself, it's really changed the way I think about it. It's changed how I see elk in a big way. It really is a wildlife resource. It's an opportunity. It's something that we should be thinking more about. It's something that we think about all the time, about how to provide more opportunity to folks. But we think what I would like to bring to you today is that you all sitting on fiscal court, the folks who are here in the audience, think about this. Take this back to folks that you know here in the community, that live here in the county. Let them know, tell the story. This is a wildlife resource that folks are taking opportunity from here right now, today. And what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to step aside and let Gabe come up and talk, because what's really cool is we have a couple new programs that allow folks to get an elk permit who live here in Pike County, which is cool in and of its own self, of its own right. But beyond that, one of the programs is opening up additional public lands, or quasi-public lands. Gabe will explain a little bit better. Folks, the more people we can get to sign on through these programs to allow elk hunting access, the more people who are going to come to Pike County to go elk hunting. So I'll leave it at that, let Gabe get up and talk, and again, at the end, we'll be happy to answer any questions that you all might have. Thank you.
Thanks, Will. Appreciate the introduction. Once again, my name's Gabe Jenkins. I'm the elk coordinator for the department. I'm out of Frankfort and pleased to have the opportunity to speak to you. I'm passing out a pamphlet for you all as well, if you'd like. Will talked about the economic impact of the hunters, and it's a very sought-after permit to be able to come to Kentucky, both if you live here or if you're a resident of the state or a non-resident. The opportunity to come hunt an elk is very, very popular. This year we had 78,000 applications to come hunt here in the state. So lots of interest, lots of people. There's lots of different opinions and thoughts about the elk program and how you get a tag, and it's a very few number of permits that we issue and a lot of interest. And one thing that we've really struggled with as an agency and as a program is how do we get the folks who live with the elk, the ones who deal with them on a day-to-day basis, to get an opportunity to hunt elk, even more than, say, somebody that lives in Paducah or Louisville. And it is a public resource, so you have to think about that it's the resource of everybody in the state, even though you're living with them. So in the last couple of years, we've created a couple programs that are allowing landowners to find another route or another way to get these landowner or to get some elk permits. The first one, it's a little bit of a mouthful there, but we call it the Voucher Cooperator Program. And this essentially is a program that landowners can enroll with us, their property, to allow folks to come on and elk hunt on their property. We put a sideboard on it. It's 100 acres minimum. There's not an agreement or anything that you sign to be a part of this program. It's essentially a gentleman's agreement where we shake hands and call it good. And we are able to work with the landowners to tailor the program to allow X number of hunters on their property, and it's based on a point system. And for each animal that's harvested on their property, they get a point, and then when they accrue a total of 20 points, the landowner themselves gets a tag to be used on their property. I said a point, but it's 2 points for a bull and 1 point for a cow. We look at these as kind of like AT&T and your rollover minutes. These are rollover points. So if a landowner might only allow 1 or 2 hunters a year, they're only going to attribute a couple points. That allows that person to bank that tag, bank those points, and move on to the next year until they finally reach the total of 20. And then we give that landowner a tag that's fully transferable. They can choose to do what they want with it. They can hunt with it. They can give it to their grandkids, sell it, whatever they so choose. And that property is good, or that tag is good for any of the property that they own or that they lease. So we've had this program now for 2 years. It's been very successful. In both years, we've enrolled a little over 100,000 acres all across the 16-county elk zone. And we're really trying to push the word, get more landowners involved. They feel connected at that point. They have an opportunity to get a tag themselves. They're working with landowners. They work with us. I think the folks that have enrolled with this are very, very happy with the situation, and we've got some success. We've been issuing permits the last 2 years this way as well. The second program there on that list is called the Elk Restoration Program. When we brought in these elk back in the 90s and early 2000s, we had 8 release sites, and we put them there, and they've really stayed put. We've got a lot of places in the zone that don't have elk yet, and what we'd like to do is trap elk where we have a lot of them and move them around the zone to places that people want them or it's public property to offer more opportunity. Will spoke about the economic impact. We want to do more. We want to have more elk hunters and more elk in the landscape to where we can provide that opportunity and that economic impact in East Kentucky. So this system is very similar on the point system like we talked about. It allows us to come in and trap and remove elk from a landowner's property. It's a point system as well, 20 points, 2 points for a bull and 1 point for a cow that we trap off the property. And then once that landowner gets 20, then they have a permit that they can use on their property just like before. So these are kind of outside the box opportunities that we thought this would be good for us to come talk to the court and present this to you, the economic impact, but also some things that we're trying to get more people involved, more opportunity that are locals. We realize that's a big thing, and we want that relationship with everybody. So with that, I'd be glad to take any questions, Will or I one, that you might have.
How long now have you been bringing elk to Kentucky, Eastern Kentucky? What?
We started bringing elk in '97, and we stopped actually bringing them from out west in 2002. We've been moving elk around the zone since 2010, so capturing them in one spot and moving them around to the others. And Pike County is one of those counties where we've been releasing elk up on fish trap WMA for the last couple of years and trying to grow that herd there.
I know I worked for Star Farm Mining down around the Hazard, brought them down there at first, and those strip jobs and stuff are pretty favorable toward the elk, I think, aren't they?
Yes, they were, I guess is the way to say it. And, that is one thing that with the change in the mining industry, we've had to rethink how we do habitat in the east, and that's an opportunity for us to work with these landowners. You know, the bulldozer was creating acres and acres of fantastic elk habitat. They eat grass. And so now that there's been a decline in the surface mine, we have to think about habitat management and working with private landowners and this is our in with them is, you know, they're getting a place to hunt. We can work with them and provide habitat management and goals and really work with them there.
What is your estimate of how many elk we have in Eastern Kentucky right now?
We estimate it's a little over 10,000 elk right now.
Yeah.
Definitely there. I mean, that number is discussed frequently all amongst folks in elk, but you know, we've seen a shift in the way they behave. They don't stand out in the open fields like cattle anymore. We hunt them and they know they act like wild critters. So that is one thing.
Really reproduced since '97.
Yes, they're. I think they're just big rabbits, really. I mean, they really reproduce quickly. And that's also one thing that we as Fish and Wildlife also have to balance that yeah, they reproduce and do well, but they also can cause a lot of problems. And that's where we're able to come in with these programs and remove some of them. And I know the county has had some issues over the years with elk collisions and elk damage, and that's where we're able to work with that landowner to remove those animals or bring in hunters. And these two systems and these two programs were designed, and that was one of the reasons why we designed them. There's our contact information there, Will's contact below, and then one of our other elk biologists. If you guys have any questions about anything that we're doing or trying to promote, feel free to give us a shout. I'm based in Frankfort. If you want to call the Frankfort number, speak to me, you're more than welcome. But we appreciate the opportunity to come and speak to y'all.
Now, where does Will work out of?
Will's in Clay County.
Okay.
We thank you both for coming in and sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Judy Patton of Mountain Comp.
I love being confused with Judy Patton. I'm Julie Paxton, but and one time I think I got out of a traffic ticket because the cop thought I was Judy Patton, but we won't say anything about that. Okay. I'm here on behalf of Mountain Comprehensive Care Center, and you all have seen me here before. About 5 years ago, I came talking about a Veterans Transitional Housing Center that we wanted to build at Shelby Valley. And since that time, we had a groundbreaking in April of 2013, and it opened in June of 2014. And for the past 3 years, we've been serving up to 25 veterans who have literally come from living in the hills, living under bridges, truly homeless veterans. It's a transitionary place. It's not for them to live permanently, but it's where people can come who have been homeless. They can get services that will help them be able to relocate and to come back into the community. We help them with therapy, with any kind of rehabilitation needs they may have, with supported employment opportunities, and we help them eventually obtain independent housing. It's been very successful. It certainly hasn't been without problems here and there, now and then. But one thing that has been very wonderful is the support of this community. I went out there one Thanksgiving, and not only were there turkeys, there were dinners, there were pies, there were casseroles, there was enough to feed 5 armies. One of the best times when I went out there were about 10 bicycles parked out front. Someone had donated bicycles for them to ride. It's been a great facility, but because it's so great, we have outgrown it, and we need to add on to it. We need to add space for the additional services we're able to provide there. And right now, we're operating under a 50-year lease with Pike County, and we appreciate that. You can see there the drawing, and it's really additional common area space for the veterans as well as office space for the staff that serve them, is what we're looking to build on. All we're asking for is your consent. The lease provides that we have to get your permission before we can build, and this is for necessary and needed services that we're glad to be able to now provide to the veterans that are there.
All right.
Need a motion and second to give them.
Only one question I have. The only question I would have, there's no, that needs to be added on and make it even bigger if you want to. What I was interested in was this entrance drive that the building goes out onto. That's not a easement or anything that belongs to somebody else, is it?
No, no,
That would affect
that's
any
there to-
liability issues.
No, there's no issues. That's for that area, and behind there is other additional housing, as well as that road services the greenhouses and the woodworking shop that we have there. So
That
yeah,
entrance is for your all's agency
Yeah.
totally anyway.
Yeah.
You all will be the only ones complaining.
yeah, we're the only ones that would complain. That's
So
right.
that's not a road or public road or county road or anything like that. Okay.
I'll share a story with you real quick. It's been a year and a half ago. A gentleman I went to school with served the country, come back. He moved away and come back to Pike County. When he come back to Pike County, he hit hard times, and your facility took him in. He stayed there several weeks. I gave him a place to stay, fed him, clothing. Without that service, I don't know if he'd be on his feet today. He's now out working, striving here in Pike County, and I first-handedly saw what your facility did and how it helps. And I think it's a shame we have one veteran that lives in this country that's homeless.
I agree.
I think that's shameful that we live in a nation to say that. So I wanted
You
to tell you
shouldn't
that.
have those words in the same sentence.
I appreciate what you did for my friend.
Well, thank you. We're glad to be able to do it, and you all have allowed us to do that.
Now, this lease, is that the one John Doug?
It is.
John Doug was telling me today that he'd been working on a lease with somebody. Was it you that had done some modifications on the lease, and he was satisfied with the way y'all had it drafted up?
I always try to please John Doug. Now, we worked together on that.
He was
and I
telling
think-
me a little bit ago at the hospital. He just brought that situation up.
Well, good.
All right. I need to-
It's a nice place up there. It's gonna be a lot of help. I just like to see it
It's beautiful.
better and get some more money to build some more.
Well, we'd be glad to do that.
I need a motion to adopt the resolution and authorization for
I'll
execution
make a
of
motion
all
to add on to it.
documents.
I'll make a motion to add on to it.
And, all right, now, second. Rose, need a roll call, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dotson?
Yes.
Mr. Barney?
Yes.
Judge Deskins?
Yes,
Thank you very much.
thank you very much.
Thank you all very much.
All right, next on the approval to execute sewer use agreements for pressure sewer systems with the Mountain Water District for Belfry Courthouse, Belfry Volunteer Fire Department, and Belfry Road Lot. Brian?
Yeah, Bobby, I'll start and you can come in. I just want to let you know what this is Mountain Water District's over in Belfry area, putting in new lines for sewer treatment over in the Belfry area. We got 3 locations that it benefits right off the bat. It's the Belfry Volunteer Fire Department, the Belfry Road Lot, and the Belfry Courthouse. The way the sewer system works is it's based on water consumption. So Jenny and I worked on it. I got to give Jenny props. She did a lot of work on this too. We took the last 12 months of water usage for them 3 locations, and on the water usage, if signing up on Mountain Water District, it would run a total of $347.30 a month. Currently, we use a wastewater service and supply company. What they do is they go out and they treat our wastewater treatment plants. And on the average, that's running us about $959 a month. It could go higher because, you know, we have to pay for costs such as blowers, motors, and electrical that may go wrong on it. So this is really a no-brainer for the county to sign up, move forward. It's a third of the cost of what we're paying now. And I'll turn it over to you, Bobby. I know you're up to par on it too.
Basically, they're getting ready to build a sewage system up what we call Belfry Holler. It's in behind the old Belfry High School. It's Belfry Middle School now. And we're right at the mouth of that holler, really. The courthouse and these other 2 businesses or places are right at the mouth of the holler, really. So it would be nice for us to sign for it. But when I found out that we're doing it would cost us a third of what we're paying right now, yes, we need to sign for it.
Well, one other thing, Bobby, to make it a little easier for the court, Kentucky state plumbing law requires that if there is a public sewer available, that they will not issue permits for the wastewater treatment centers. So realistically, we need to sign up on it and move forward with it. We've talked with the company that's providing the service now, and they're in agreement with that also.
Brian, Brian, that treatment plant's not gonna last much longer at Belfry
Right.
anyway. We're just
Right.
band-aiding it up to get by for right now.
Yeah, right. So need a,
I'd like to make a motion then that we give the judge authority to go ahead and sign
all
the
right.
necessary papers on this.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dotson? Mr. Burney?
Yes.
Judge Deskin?
Yes. Adoption of a resolution approving the execution of the 2017-2018 Rural Secondary Program Agreement and accepting all roads and streets in the agreement as being a part of the county road system. Brian?
yeah, this is, as it reads, this is the 16, 17, 17, 18 flex road monies. It's a total of $732,798. These roads were selected by your road foremans and Jackie Darrell Smith. We just need to we just need to make a resolution here and give the judge authority to sign off on it, send it back down to Frankfurt to
Motion.
receive the money.
And this is what we call our flex,
It's
right?
called our flex, yes. Yeah, anything over that amount is on the county. Right.
Once we get the executed copy back, we will let you know, so that way you can start blacktopping, because if you do anything prior to the executed copy coming back, we have to eat it. So please don't spend nothing on this till we get the executed copy back.
We'll let you know, Jackie Darrell, when it comes back.
Did you make a motion, Jay?
I did.
I'll second it.
All right.
Wait.
I need a vote, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Burney?
Yes.
Judge Dixon?
Yes. Approval to release an irrevocable letter of credit in the amount of $15,000 for Patrick Processing LLC. County Attorney?
I don't know.
Yeah, you need, I looked over that a couple of days ago. It looks like something's just been dangling out there that needs to go ahead and release it. Is that right, Mr. Treasurer? Is there any ordinance or motion needed, or does y'all need any reading of anything?
What's it for, Kay?
It was something done, John would probably know more about it. It was $15,000 line of credit that was given by the county for someone to do some project back 15
Patrick
years ago.
Processing. What road was it, Jeannie?
It's
I gave you-
199 and Dinky Road.
Dinky Road.
And they have a chute across there. I talked to the lady yesterday, and it's something done several years ago, and the mining company ceased to exist, and there's nothing there now. I think there's a belt line or something went across the road there.
Yes.
I don't know where you can go
That's-
wrong getting rid of debt.
That's a state road, ain't it?
Yes.
There's a state road there, but that Dinky Road is state. So that 199, I would assume that's state too, oh, really?
Did?
Yeah.
I mean, you're getting rid of a liability. I don't see where there's any danger
They
in it. The
pledged-
bank's asking you to get rid of a liability.
They pledged this line of credit, and we're just giving it back to them so they can clean up their books and stuff. Because we don't have any liability.
I don't see where there's any danger in getting rid of a liability. I mean, if you're wrong, you're getting rid of $15,000 debt we had. I don't see there's a problem.
Yeah, I think you need a
I need a motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dotson?
Yes.
Mr. Barney?
Yes.
Judge Deskins?
Yes.
Need to take that money on over on Callaway on the other side of the hill and fix that road over there.
Awarding of bids. Frankie? No bids? All right. Madras Road Work.
Motion.
Need a second.
My road work.
Roll
Second.
call, please. It's a motion to accept Madras Road Work. And a second.
We got a second. We got a motion.
Need a second.
got a motion second.
Can I-
Roll call,
can I
Judge.
vote?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Anderson? Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dotson?
Yes.
Mr. Barney?
Yes.
Judge Deskins?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Judge.
The tank truck.
Go back and do his approval of surplus tanker truck. Do that one.
All right. Approval to surplus a tank truck. Doug, did John attack it?
Yeah, we've got a tank truck. We've had it for several years. We used to use it to haul water to Ridgeline Road in. We don't use the truck anymore, and the tank is rusted out on it. It leaks pretty bad as it is, and it's going to cost more to fix it than what it's worth to us. We'd like to surplus it. There's a fire department that would like to have the truck if we could surplus it.
All right.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Anderson? Mr. Johnson? Mr. Murphy? Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dotson?
Yes.
Mr. Barney?
Yes.
Judge Deskins?
Yes. Sorry I missed that one, but,
That's a pretty good
all
truck.
right. Madras comments. Jackie Darrell? I mean,
Not yet.
Jeff, I don't have any comments.
number 2,
I don't have any comment.
Leo?
I was going to ask Jimmy something, but nothing right now.
All right. Kenneth?
Is our budget ready to go?
Dotson?
Hey, Bill, how you doing tonight?
I got a little, what is it, Tweetus?
Shingles.
What is it?
Shingles.
Shingles.
Sanka, and I can't hardly walk. I've had it for 2 weeks. I never had anything like this in my whole life. But anyway, I'm doing a little bit. I have to be where I'm needed.
But you've got to spend, we're going to have a special meeting.
Judge, me, Bobby, Scott
How much am I got to rent?
went down to Natural Bridge
23,000?
Yes.
to ATV
Get you started, you still not spending.
trail meeting
Recovery
this past week
for that day.
and found out it was
But I can spend this right here. But I can spend it right now.
a real good meeting. We're
How much have I got in hit?
finally gonna get some help from the state. They've got a House Bill 156 that they got in process. It ain't been passed yet. They said, what, Scott, sometime in June, July? I'll let you go ahead and,
Yes, you were looking at House Bill 156 was essentially merged in with Senate Bill 215. And the interesting thing about House Bill, or Senate Bill, I'm sorry, Senate Bill 215, is that it created it allocated $7.5 million to create a coal fields endowment fund. And so they rolled in the House Bill 156 to create a Kentucky Mountain Regional Recreational Authority. That's a mouthful, all right? But the whole idea of House Bill 156 in its initial conception was to focus on outdoor recreation and trail development as a vehicle for economic development across the 21 mountainous counties of eastern Kentucky. So the the KMRRA, or the Kentucky Mountain Regional Recreational Authority, consists of 21 eastern Kentucky counties, Pike County being one of those. So when we're looking at that, we're looking at a significant opportunity. So we've talked about trails, we've talked about ATV trails, we've been focused on that and wanting to do that here in the county, and other counties in eastern Kentucky have been wanting to do that as well. So what you're seeing now is a focused effort from the state and a concerted effort at the state level to assist us in the development of these trails. So this is a good thing.
Scott, we've got a paper we've got to approve to the court on what, June 28th or first part of July?
The first part of July. So this has not been signed by the governor as of yet, but Senate Bill 215 did pass. Once that is signed, we need to have a resolution. So of the 21 counties that are part of that regional authority, 16 of the counties do have to pass a resolution in support of this regional authority. And I strongly recommend that the court takes it under consideration moving forward, so that we would be able to be a part of this authority and be able to take full advantage of the and get our lion's share of that $7.5 million that's going to be allocated for recreational development.
And we've got a copy of the form. We just have to wait till the time frame rolls around. And then you might want to tell them about your meeting, Scott, on the 22nd.
Sure.
Agreement back.
If the magistrate noticed, I did leave a flyer to announce we're reinitiating or reviving our county trails meetings. And those are going to be on the fourth Thursday of every month. So, and starting this month. So that does come up on June 22nd, being the fourth Thursday of this month. And we're going, and it's going to be at 6:30 here at the Fiscal Courtroom. And looking forward, everyone's invited, interested people, and we're wanting to have as many magistrates as we can, and as many citizens of Pike County who are interested, not just in riding ATVs, but also who own title to property, that are wanting to see how this works, and really the question that comes up with the property owner whenever we're talking about developing these trails is, what's in it for me? Why should I allow an ATV to pass my, to cross my property, and am I liable for this? And I don't want people tearing up my property and junking up my property and throwing trash on my property. We need to ease those concerns, and we need to offer, an opportunity for people who are interested or just curious about it to come out, so that we can inform them and be able to really develop these trails. We have to have, before we can have a trail, we have to have access to it, and we have to have an agreement with the property owners, and this is one of the things that we can do with this moving forward.
Another thing, Brian, Judge, and the court, Bobby Russell with the DLG and the attorney are meeting tomorrow with the West Virginia, Hatfield, McCoy trail people that initially started the trail system over there, to find out what they need to do here in Kentucky. So he said as soon as they have that meeting, we would be informed of what they accomplished, and talk like they might try to come to the meeting that we have on the 22nd to inform us. And then they're going to try to set up a meeting with us and let us know what they found out that would be helpful to all of us. But I thought it was a good meeting. We had probably 15, 20 counties involved that day at Natural Bridge, and I'm looking forward to see us moving forward with this and try to get our trail system back up and going. And I think this is the first time that I've ever known that the legislators and the governor getting involved of trying to get something moving on this thing. So we might be able to see
What it
something
needs
happen.
to succeed, Helen.
Yeah, we hope we can. So everything else, we're trying to fix flood drains. You know, Jackie Darrell's had a lot of it on Facebook. Y'all could see the damages that we've occurred during the last week's flooding. And Horse out you bypassed the first day you opened it up, didn't it, Jack? He opened it up one day and it got washed out, so he had to go back in and repair, put another drain in and try to get it going so they close that bridge off, and hopefully we get started on the bridge work over there. But the boys are cutting weeds. We got 2 mowers every day working and can't catch up with them. It's rain and all these water weeds and things are blocking the entrances and things. We're just having a tough time, and just want to let the people know to bear with us. And I think the most flooding we got was over in the Coal Run, Johns Creek area, wasn't it, Jack? And maybe Bob might got hit. So, but I like to say the boys are on top of it, and they work all through the evening hours and the night to get it back, get people in and out. That's all I have, Jess.
All right, Bobby?
One other thing with the meeting that we went to on the trails,
Looks like Bartley
Commissioner
Road
of Donahoe
Bartley Hall
of the
over Penny Street.
DLG, she was there and she showed a lot of interest in this, and I
Branch
look
for
for some
Shelby
good things to happen from that. I was really impressed with the lady, and she took 27 bullets
Bunkhouse
back
Road.
to start working on to give us
Big
answers
branch
to
from
what
Shelby
we
Drive
thought were
Fork
some
Road.
roadblocks that we had for the trail
9-4.
system. So I think that's good.
I don't know about that.
That one's not yours.
To add to that, Magistrate Varney, along with the 7.5 million that has been allocated for the coalfields endowment, they are going to also allocate $500,000 from the abandoned mine land fund to go toward this regional recreation authority. And so there is investment here. And that's important to note, that you're seeing investment coming from Frankfurt to assist us in the development of these trails. And Kentucky is finally starting to look, the Commonwealth is finally starting to look at other states around and seeing the economic driver that happens here. And it can be exciting times, and hope to move forward with it.
And Brian, they were impressed with how far we are ahead of the other counties. You know, we've already had the property map and know the landowners. And, you know, these other counties are just getting started, and, you know, they were impressed the way how far Pike County is in front of them. And Doug, you know, we couldn't have done all that without your office, and you know, with the mapping and Charles and all that. And, you know, the 911 system is far above all the other counties that we have out there, and we've always been praised for Pike County being so far ahead of the 911 systems. And, you know, you've been working at it as long as I've been here. And it's been a little while, but we appreciate you. And
We got a couple of gentlemen in the back, Mr. Masters and Mr. Bilter, and the reason they're here, Mr. Bilter has a grave on his property, and there've been some slides around it and all that stuff, and he's provided or got another place to move the grave, and they told him that the fiscal court had to give him permission to do that.
Yeah.
You
So
have Shelby Dry Fork.
I propose that
You
we
have
give
a
that
Shelby
to
Dry
Keith
Fork.
and let him look into what that's all
With
about.
Allegheny.
I don't.
You have a Shelby Dry Fork Road.
The problems and the
This is
things
Kenneth's.
I've
These are
had
all
with
Kenneth's.
cemeteries And private cemeteries, I'm not gonna
On
fool
this
with it. You know, but if he tells them what they need to do legally, and I can't see why the fiscal court would have any say-so in that. But again, we'll turn that over to Keith and let you look, do some research on it for him, Keith.
There's a lot of old laws out there floating around that miscellaneous ones that really are in the judiciary now. They're, before 1978, there wasn't a district court,
So Hillman's gonna have to. do
probate
all
court over there, and this was the probate court, so I don't know if it stems from that era. Council might be already researched it. I didn't, is there a statute on that or something like that?
Yeah, come up, Jonathan, I'm sorry.
There's a lot of laws out there floating around that
Maybe another one.
that you have to, that are very specific, but I always thought it was the next of kin, or, and if you couldn't locate next of kin, it would be the probate court, but you probably got the law in your pocket.
Well, I've researched the statute, and good afternoon, my name's Jonathan Masters, I'm an attorney over in Belfry, and Mr. Builder asked me to look into this for him, and you are correct. Normally, if we had a next of kin available who could approve the removal of the grave, we wouldn't need the fiscal court's permission to do so. However, Mr. Builder is not aware of who the next of kin would be in this situation. We're aware of who is actually buried there. His name is Fred B. Slater, but to Mr. Builder's knowledge, no one has ever visited this gravesite since the 1970s. And there is an old statute. It's KRS 381.755 is the actual statute, and it indicates that upon the application of the owner of property on which is located an abandoned grave or cemetery, or whenever the fiscal court or any county deems it in the best interest of the county to remove and relocate any such grave or cemetery, the court may issue an order or resolution authorizing removal or relocation of this cemetery. Given that the property, given that the cemetery has not been visited since the 1970s, Mr. Builder believes that the property, or that the grave has actually been abandoned. And since he has no idea who the next of kin are in this situation, then that's the reason why we've been here today to petition the fiscal court for permission to actually remove this grave. Moreover, Mr. Builder has also obtained another grave plot at Mountain View Memory Gardens, where he's already, talked with those people there and spoke with Rusty Hall over in Belfry to actually perform the grave removal to obtain quotes for that stuff. So he's got a place to remove the grave to, and it's actually a much better location because it is on an actual cemetery lot.
And there's just one grave there too.
That's correct. There's only one grave there. I think Mr. Slater was buried there in 1966. And like I said, to Mr. Builder's knowledge, no one has ever visited this gravesite since probably since he purchased the property in 1977.
Do you have the KRS again? I apologize.
Yes, it's 381.755.
And there is some slides in that area too.
That's correct. And the reason there's a good reason for Mr. Builder who wants to remove the property or remove the grave is that he's had some slides there around the property, and he's afraid that this gravesite may end up in his driveway one day.
Yeah.
And that's something that he doesn't want to happen, obviously. Secondly, it's also impeding him from being able to make some improvements to his property because he needs to move the hillside back there to make his home handicap accessible in the future. So that is the main reasons why he'd like to have the grave removed, is both of those, that the actual grave itself, he's afraid it may be in his driveway one day, and also to make those improvements to his property.
No, 194.
371.
I'm sorry, it's 381.755.
I couldn't find anything on it. 755.
I actually have a copy here, I believe.
Removal of grave. There you go.
I've got a copy here if you'd like me to bring it over to you.
I thought I saw Pete. Did I see Peach Orchard on that? Yeah, it's okay, I was thinking that on
The statute further provides that once the fiscal court enters the order, that Mr. Builder has to actually publish this in the newspaper. And after a waiting period of 60 days, so long as there not been any kind of objections to him, or as long as he hasn't been notified by anybody and by a next of kin potentially, then that's whenever we would actually petition the court for an actual resolution. More or less, we're just asking, and by my interpretation of the statute, we had to present this today in order to just get an initial approval that this is something that Mr. Builder is able to do, so long as he doesn't have any kind of objection from any next of kin, once it's been published in the newspaper.
I tell you what, about everything I deal with, Graves, we're burning bodies and abandoned bodies, and everything we do goes through probate court. But you're right, it sure does say fiscal court, doesn't it? Resolution of fiscal court.
It does, and I'll be honest with you, this is a statute that I'm not familiar with. This is something that I found through research, and I was kind of surprised, to be honest with you, because initially I thought that the district court should have jurisdiction, but the statute does say fiscal court, and it's unique in that situation.
Yeah, it is, because most of it's probate court. Most everything I do with the coroners, we're doing stuff in probate court every day with abandoned bodies. We had a 700-pounder guy the other day. We couldn't. Hospital had abandoned. We've been dealing with abandoned bodies, but this is an abandoned grave. It does say fiscal court. You ought to make sure you get paid on this. You did some work. Yeah, it does. It says if it's the best interest of the county, that we can resolve to go ahead and move it. He's right.
So do we give him permission to go on this, or what then, Keith?
So you just need to put it in the paper, advertise it for 60 days, and then when nothing comes, come back to the fiscal court, then get approval.
That's correct, yes. So long as we don't have any objection from anyone over the next 60 days, and once it's been published, by my interpretation of the statute, that is the next procedurally what we have to do in order to have this.
Yeah, my
this
understanding is
resolution
too that Rusty knows how to do that. Those they do that pretty regularly. You still file something with the fiscal. I still file something with Vital Statistics, I believe, in Frankfurt, letting them know.
That is correct, yeah. Once we have approval from the fiscal court, we actually have to submit this to the Department of Vital Statistics, and then they have to approve it as well. But this is the first step as far as getting that taken care of.
Yeah, make sure they pay you. You're doing a good job. I'd hire him.
So do we need a motion to give them permission to do that, or what?
Or accept the resolution. Go ahead. Sign his resolution first reading. Have you already done my work too? You already got the resolution?
I do, actually. I have an order. I now have a draft, and you guys may not have approved of this, but it is just a simple draft asking the court to approve that and allowing us to go ahead and publish that in the newspaper. And it's got the specific language.
That's Bobby's district. If you think it's the best interest of the county to move that grave, I say go ahead and do it.
If it fills up his driveway, it's going to be in the road pretty soon. So,
Do we need to approve it contingent on any changes? Will there anything need to be changed in your draft, or is it okay?
To my knowledge, it looks okay to me. Like I said, I drafted it this afternoon before I left my office, and it basically just says that you are giving us permission to publish this in the newspaper, and if there is any objections to the removal of the property, then we'll present those, of course, and we're going to put our contact information in the actual newspaper there for them to actually contact us.
So there's still maybe a possibility, Keith, that you find something in the law that we can't go ahead and do that, we can stop it then, or what?
Yeah, and I think it'll lay over for objections also, if anybody, just like any other resolution you all have. It'll be published.
Giving him a right to advertise it in the newspaper.
That's correct.
Okay.
And it says in there, any expense comes upon them too. There's no expense on the county according to that statute.
That is absolutely right. Yeah, Mr. Builder, all this will be performed at his expense. There is no expense for the actual fiscal court or for the county.
I'll make a motion to that effect then.
Second.
Roll call, please.
It's real good.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Murphy.
Yes.
Mr. Robinson. Mr. Dodson.
Yes.
Mr. Varney.
Yes.
Judge Jessica.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Hey,
thank
Judge, the only
you.
other thing I've got to say is that we've, along with him, when we did get hit in 2 or 3 areas in my district with the flooding and stuff over our 2-week period there, and some people thought we were a little slow getting to them, but we prioritized things. We got the worst ones first, we thought. Now everybody didn't agree on that. They thought that theirs was worse than any other place, but the guys are working on it, and it's a slow process, but it's one that is working for us. We've got some more work to do. I've got some drains in Mead House that I'm going to have to take out that don't belong to the county, but the creek's run right down the middle of the road, and it's been run down the middle of the road for 2 weeks, over 2 weeks now. So we're going to just have to take those drains out. And, legally we can do that to protect the county road, and I'm going to have to do some work on the county road after I take the drains out. There's a thing about it, but that's back 25, 30, 40 years ago, these people up in these hollers put these drains in, extending their yard a little bit or whatever it was, and now the drains are collapsing and getting old and rusting through, and they're looking for the county to replace their drains. We can't do that.
Can you help Bobby with that too? Maybe we can get some. We'll let anybody that wants to pay for that do it too. Yeah, there you go.
But our guys are working and doing a good job at it. We've got the Hatfield-McCoy Marathon coming up this Saturday over in my district and in Mingo County and in Hillman's district. We are probably resurface some of the road up through Burnwell tomorrow and through Friday, tomorrow and Friday. And we're cutting some weeds up there, and we got some litter to pick up in 2 or 3 spots. But we always have that, and we just keep on keeping on with it. Thank you, Judge.
All right, treasurer's business. Treasurer's business.
I will have it ready when y'all come back from executive session.
Okay. All right, executive session,
Yes. At this time, I'd like to make a motion that we go into executive session in accordance with KRS Paragraph C, discuss proposed litigation, and Paragraph F, Pacific personnel.
Second.
we need a vote.
Master Anderson. Yes. Master Johnson.
Yes.
Master Murphy. Yes. Master Robinson. Master Dodson.
Yes.
Master Barney.
Yes.
Judge Desigan.
Yes. The court will be in recess.
No, but this Friday for sure.
Court come to order.
I'm hoping to start feeling better. I'd love to go. Hey, you want to go? I don't know where I'm able or not. He'll be off down there. I got to get for the house. Is that right? You want to live?
Go that evening. Right there's your reservations and stuff, so it shows you when you're checking in and checking out. And a requested 3rd floor for you. That way you didn't have to walk as far.
Well, I probably need the same thing. So
I've already got you 3rd floor too.
Okay. Poor old Brenda, I tell you.
Right here, request room on 3rd floor.
Okay.
So for you don't have to walk as far. And it's going on Tuesday night and checking out on Friday.
This coming Tuesday.
Yes, 13th.
Okay, I took it over to see you, let you know.
I'll call tomorrow and talk with Peggy Sue and see what she wants to do. I know she wants to go see her brother.
She wants to see her brother, yeah. He's real sick. They say, well, yeah, I could just go lay in the bed, or I could do that, could let up to the house.
Keith's going. Keith and Bobby's going. He's going to reimburse us.
Hey, Hillman, is Roberta well? Is Roberta well? Well. Is she going? Okay, that's good. Rosa's going.
You saw where I put that. I can't get a roll-in shower, but they'll give you a handicapped ramp.
We'll probably ride down with them or somebody. All right.
You got an extra one of these so I can have your order numbers.
Hey, Hillman, I've got a gas card. I know. Are we ready to go?
Yeah.
Kenneth needs to call me about 15. Yep.
All right. Call, whatever you got.
What are you talking about?
Brian, you got personnel due?
Yeah, you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Go to you. Yeah, got a couple personnel. Need approval to hire Justin Collier as temporary loader for solid waste area number 2 at a 2H rate of pay effective May 22nd. Approval to hire Jason Scott as temporary weed mower driver at lot number 1, replacing Jared Smith, who resigned. at a 3/8 rate of pay effective 5/24. Approval to hire Willie Burke as temporary driver at lot number 1 at a 3/8 rate of pay effective 5/20. Approval to hire Christopher Dotson temporarily to replace Charles King, the judicial building, as a custodian at a 2/8 rate of pay effective 5/25. Acknowledge the resignation of Jared Smith effective May 10th. Approval to hire Enos Bingham temporary replacing Richard Mullins, who's off on workers' comp at solid waste transfer station effective 6/14. Also need to approve donated sick time to be given to John Doug Hayes if any county workers wish to do so. That's your recommendation.
Need a motion? Need a roll?
Judge needs to make the motion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Judge
roll
needs to
call,
make the
please.
motion.
Judge makes the motion. Second.
Who did the second?
Kenneth?
Kenneth.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? Yes. Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dodson?
Yeah.
Mr. Barney?
Yes.
Judge Deskin?
Yes.
One other thing, Bill, need to talk about the Pike County Joint Airport Board. Walter E. May has stepped down from serving on the board, and Kendall Wright is up to be nominated to take Walter's place. It'll go through 11/1 of 2018. That's your recommendation.
Make the motion.
Second.
Recommend.
That's to the airport board.
That's to the airport board. Jeff seconded it.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? Yes. Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Barney?
Yes.
Judge Deskin?
Yes.
Okay, authorize any necessary transfers and interfund transfers to pay the bills, payroll, health, life, and dental insurance.
Motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Barney?
Yes.
Judge Deskin?
Yes.
Authorize the judge to sign the renewals for the fiscal year 2017-2018 on all the insurances. This is the health insurance. We got a 3% increase. Life is no rate change. Dental is no rate change, and it's a 2-year guaranteed rate. And vision is no rate change. The single plan that the county will pay for on the subscriber only is going to $610.33. The
What was that, Donda?
$592 or $593,
Okay, all right.
somewhere in that range, $592 something. The ones who had buy-up plan number 1 is going to $789.41, and the ones that have buy-up plan number 2 is $851.87. If there are no changes to be made to your health plan, we're not going to have we're going to do a passive enrollment this time, only if people want to make changes to come in, and the Blue Vision is $477 for a subscriber only, which is the same as it was before. And the dental is $1783 for a single, and if they want to add their spouse or family, they can. So anybody that wants to make changes, we'll be calling the departments to let them know. Kelly will be here Monday and Tuesday, the 12th and 13th, if anybody wants to make any changes. Otherwise, anybody that don't want to and they're satisfied with what they have, we'll roll on for another year.
Roll on.
Authorization to accept this and allow the judge to sign and get it going on.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Barney?
Yes.
Judge Deskin?
Yes.
District 2.
John, I gotta say, we worked hard for that 3%, didn't we? I think me and you the only two probably gets it, but,
Yeah, because the last call I got while you were on vacation was, can we do 4.4? And I was
Yeah.
like, Nope, the budget says 3%, so he went to the very top of Blue Cross to get us 3%. And I told him, never again say there's going to be a zero renewal
there
or
you
a
go.
decrease, because I'm going to smack him, because he's going to be sent to the loony bin because he's going to be insane.
Just wanted to say that, sorry.
Yeah, it was hard fought to keep it where we got it. The next item on the agenda is District 2 is purchasing a backhoe in the amount of $94,000. I needed authorization for a check to Leslie Equipment, and if there's anything that judge needs to sign, to give him the authorization to do so.
Motion. Roll call, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Bid that out.
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Barney?
Yes.
Judge Deskins?
Yes.
Chicks is a little more because he has less hours on his. Correct. Okay, authorize a check for Paul Williamson's electrical license renewal for $300 to the Kentucky State Treasurer.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dodson? Mr. Barney?
Yes.
Judge Deskins?
Yes.
We also have a invoice from the Kentucky Retirement Systems on Chris Bunch, who is anticipating retiring, I believe, July 1. In reconciling his account, the Kentucky Retirement System found there were a couple of months that he did not pay for. Our contribution is $144.28, and we will file this online when we do our report with the retirement system. So we need to authorize the payment of omitted wages on retirement for employee Chris Bunch in the amount of $144.28 when we process our retirement report.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Barney?
Yes.
Judge Deskins?
Yes.
Last thing I have is authorized registration fees and lodging for those who wish to attend the KCJEA KMCA Joint Summer Conference, June 14th through the 16th, 2017, at the Gold House in Louisville, Kentucky.
Motion.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Barney?
Now, I won't be going to that, but yes.
I know.
Yes.
And Judge Deskins?
Yes.
Have no further business, Judge.
Motion to.
You all finished, babe?
Yep.
All right,
I have a couple of matters before we close.
public comment, we don't have any. Any commissioners?
Yeah, I got a comment or two, Judge. On the bridge over in Blackberry, Himman was mentioning earlier there, but the bypass washing out, follow up a little bit on, we're trying to get an emergency thing from the state where they move that up, instead of doing it 2022, to move up to 2017, which would, if we are successful in that, and the states went out and measured it, so it looked like it might happen. And it's way better than $1 million they got estimated on that bridge, so if the county can save that money, it'd be great. So hopefully the work works out. And we got a road called Jones's Road up in Fedge Creek area, in Leo's area. They've been working for about 20 years, but some way it slipped and it's not on the road system. So I give that to Rose there, and I need to go out and look at it again. And what I was told about John and Leo told me about it, and I haven't really looked at it to start with. But they said it worked on it, but it wasn't in the system when they went to check for some reason. And so we need to have a thing on that and get that put in. I got petitions signed on it. And as we all know, we've had a pretty hard hit there when it rained there a week or so ago. And I went around, I got a call that morning, and there's a tree down at, I think Leah was one called me down on the Taylor branch, and I went down there to check that out. Because sometimes people get some out of the way before you get there, and so I went to check it out, and sure enough, some good neighbor had cut it out. So I called John and told him to send a crew somewhere else that's headed that way to go and take care of another problem. But I was there's a drain filling up with water. People in that community had filled up the creek and put drains down through there from several houses. And the last house down there was coming out there. It was flooding their yard some. As I took that film and was talking about it, I was hoping that people in several other films I took would see this as I spoke on the film. You may create a few foot of land, but you create a lot of problems maybe for yourself and for others below you. So hopefully people will look at that and quit doing that practice, or at least get a big enough drain and go through the system and get the proper sized drain for it. And a lot of times in this county, they've not got proper sized drains. As we've got up in Mr. Varney's area up in Mead House, I went over there and the road was, and it happened a couple years ago too, the drain, they built a pump house on top of it, it caved in. So I went up there and I talked to that gentleman about it, and they was this one guy came down, found out he owned the property where his brother lives, or his dad, and he said it's full of junk reasons there, and he said he'd report it to the county a lot, and I said, well, the junk does get in the ditches, and people need to think about that when they throw the trash, and I call trees trash and limbs, and they plug up these drains and causes problems. But these drains, like Bobby said, has been there for better than 20-some years, and about 16 years does these metal drains in, for the most part. So that's something we're going to have to take out. It's been going on for quite a while. Water's running in the road. It can't get through the drains, so we've got to work on that deal. And I just wish people would look at that. And the bridge, we had many problems. Probably 90% of the work wouldn't have been there if people had bridges. I didn't find a bridge problem one, but I found all kinds of drain problems. And then up at Mead House of Johns Creek, we went up there that morning. As I was up getting seeing that the tree was already taken care of. And as I was filming, I was needing to leave and go on because I got a call from Mead House. Those people up there on the hollow where the church is, Callahan branch, 400 or 500 foot from the church was water all in the road, and the whole Callahan branch was blocked from the head to the mouth for those drains plugged up, and we had to work from the mouth on, and we didn't get home that night to 10:30, working on getting where people could get out and do their business, be medical, food, or work. And got that took care of, and that's where I was leaving and left Taylor Fork. But what really shocked me when I got on and made those comments, some people come back and took it very offensively that I was saying that they had causing problems for the drains, and somebody said I should have got out instead of riding and filming and helped with the flood deal, which in the water deal like that, you can't do nothing with it unless you're going to move a bicycle or something there. I mean, you can't do nothing. But my job is to go out here and clear the roads, make them safer for people to travel and get back and forth where they need to go to. And that's why I left and went to Mead House, and we worked to 10 o'clock at night to getting it to 10:30 to get that cleared up. So, it's not my job to get out and move stuff around on somebody's lot that created the problem to start with, but they really got offensive. It's shocking me, but I'm sure the majority of people don't feel that way, I hope. And another little issue, this cell phone, no matter where you're at, you're on the job, you're on top of the hill, or you're on a basement, or you're on the side of the road, and I'm trying to work on this. I got a little issue. It's the texts I get them, which I had a little problem with him on that, and I want to read them, and I've tried to make a resolution. I'm not going to read these texts while I'm driving or do any texting while I'm driving. And it's a little bit of a tough deal, which I've complained to other people about their bad habits, so that's one of them I've got and I've tried to work on, and taking phone calls. And I get many texts from this flood, and one person complained about the county workers, took a picture and sent me on a text that they sat in two of them in a truck and spent the whole day there. And he lived on Pond Creek, but he was wrong because one of the individuals in that truck was working over on the bypass to 11 o'clock, got a call to go over and get tobacco off the truck. It had a flat on the tractor trailer. And he was saying our men should get out and change that tire himself, which we don't. We got a crew at the garage comes out and got the tools to take care of the job. And that gentleman was criticizing these county workers. And there's some people knows what they're talking about, and there's some that don't. And those don't realize what these county workers sacrifice, and it's a job, they appreciate it, but still they get out there and risk their lives in these high waters and go through them, and it's kind of annoying. And this individual, I reckon he's been on a check since he's been 25, and he's about 51 now, and he's complaining about these county workers and paying them and stuff. So it's gets on your skin a little bit. And another guy, you know, sometimes I pull down to Phelps and I get some gas and I sit there and answer my texts and answer them and send them messages and making phone calls. And 90, a big part of your problems you could solve on this phone by calling people, but many times you got to go to the area too. As I talk to different road foremen and people that's complaining, and I don't mind nobody complaining or a problem. Call me back, because sometimes I get a lot on my mind, I forget it, no problem. But Monk Sanders kills me. I mean, that man sat there talking thousands in my parking lot there, and either he's got a bad conception of government work, because you don't stay inside of the office. I can stay up here in this office, but I'm going to get out in the field and do things. And as long as you got this phone, you own the job, and you're trying to do work out there. And he was complaining about me being out there in Phelps on the side of the road there. And it's safer to be on the side of the road answering a text than it is to be a driver and answering a text. And I'm trying to do the job for the people, but also make my little life a little safer. And I don't want to hurt nobody else, and I sure don't want to hurt Jackie Darrell. Yep. And then he was complaining again. I just don't know what part of his life he can't understand. Maybe it's because he's not in business no more. He was those rocks. I'd piled some more up. I've sold about a bunch of rocks here lately in dirt on weekends, and I piled some more down there. I'm making a rock wall down there, and he got worried about that rock. Said I was putting some more rock down there. The county had to move it. But what rock they got saved the county about $12,400. And what part of free, I don't know he understands. He says we waste money, but when we save money, it's bad too. So he just got an axe to grind with people, and it used to be on him a lot, but now this thing's getting on my case. I don't know. But I'm a big boy. I can handle it, but free is good. And I'm not hauling nothing. You know, the county saved money with different jobs they did with that rock from that bridge to the side of the roads and things. And free is good. And what part of he don't understand of that, I don't know, because we either go to Elkhorn City or somewhere and buy it or get it free, and that was the easiest access place they could have possibly got it. And I didn't plan on giving that rock I got down there now. I'm going to make a rock wall down there, but I may pile up some more for JB said he needed some more maybe, and I'll pile up some more, and I'll come back to court and ask Jens to come down and get it if you want it. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Have any comments?
I just wanted to give an update. Last meeting before last, Norman Stump was in. He was talking about the horse trail ride over along your district over there around Lick Creek and stuff. And I had spoken with him, had a meeting with Tony Tackett with Pike County Tourism, and we are going to be setting a meeting sometime in early July. We're still working on the date to have our initial planning meeting for this. We're targeting the ride to occur sometime in late September, possibly looking at around September 30th, since it's a Saturday week following the Hatfield-McCoy Festival. And also there's no other conflicting horse ride dates around that point in time, but it still hasn't been set in stone as of yet. But just wanted to let the court know that that Tony Tackett and I are working on that, and we are looking forward to having a beautiful fall horse ride coming up.
All right. Keith, you have any comments?
Yeah, I got one. My mother, who has been on the tourism, she's still on the tourism board. And you mentioned Tony, made me think about it. Her and her twin sister, Charlene Adkins, who good friends of Kenneth Robinson down there. Kenneth worked with him back 100 years ago. Mother and Charlene are having their 90th birthday party Saturday from 1 to 4 at the Landmark Inn. Jaguars are playing, Bobby. Make sure all the 6 districts are covered. We'd like to have everybody come up 3 hours, Saturday 1 to 4. So with that in mind, I also got some sad news about one of our friends, Rose. I don't know if you've heard, Glenda Hall. May have lost her today, so I just got that word. No. Glenda Hall, she was at the county clerk's office for what, 50 years? 40?
Long time.
40, 50 years. She's a journeyman. And she's, as Mother says, she's been married to Hall all those years. She's lived hard, so my mother said. Yes, married to Leonard Hall, yeah. Leonard and the gang. Good people, good workers.
All right.
Hey Keith, if Kenneth comes, you better wear him a mask over his head and a helmet. The last time he went to one of them parties, but bumped his head on the door.
This is in the city of Pikeville. He's allowed to act up. It's in the city limits of Pikeville.
Motion to adjourn.
No, not yet. I've got the shingles, and I'm going to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Master Anderson.
Yes.
Master Johnson.
Yes.
Master Murphy. Master Robinson. Master Dotson. Master Barney.
Yes.
Judge Jessica.
Yes. We being adjourned.